Hello there and a very warm welcome to another edition of the program. I'm Victor Matthias. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari last week authorized the suspension of 2 top officers of his administration in what appears to be a bold statement in the fight against corruption, which is one of the promises he made while seeking office. Today on the program, we turn our attention to this move and how far it will help the Buhari-led administration's fight against corruption. But let's take a moment to see what made the trends in the past week. Football fans in Nyasan community in Calabar Cross River State lost their lives after being electrocuted by an electric cable that fell from its mooring on the viewing center. They were watching a Europa League match between Manchester United and Anderlecht. Giants of Spanish football clashed once again in the Spanish capital for the highly anticipated El Clasico. This got tweets talking about the game, which was widely watched all over the world. Well, those were the trends. Let's now join our online contributors. We have Benga Olorunpomi from Lokoja in Kogi State, Tosin Abiri from Ogbomoso in Oyo State, and Ben Cosmos from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Tosin, what's your estimation of the fight against corruption of the government at the moment?
I think from recent action, prior to this period, prior to the SGF suspension, things that was happening, the vibes we were getting from the Asura, that's from the presidency, was it reflected a bit of a disconnection, or more like a disconnect in communication, because the accusation against the SGF, we've had accusation around the funds that was meant for the IDPs that was mismanaged, and other things, several other things that happened that has eventually led to this. But I think in recent time, with the action of suspending the SGF, it's sending the positive message. I think there's a change, there's a wave of change in the presidency, and I think people that voted the president in are finally getting to sort of have a feel that is going through with what he promised around corruption.
All right, Ben, what are your thoughts on the suspension of the SGF and the NIA DG? Some have said it is coming a little too late. They're also citing the fact that a Senate committee had already brought out a paper, and they suggested that this investigation should go on, especially on the SGF. Do you agree with this?
Since the committee headed by Senator Shehu Sani came out with a report indicting the former secretary to the federal government, and it took a whole long time for the presidents to react at this time. Though, well, it is better late than never. Finally, the man has been suspended, and I know is a way of, showing him the door out. And I believe before the presidency comes to the point of suspending this man, they must have seen something. But it's either they are not courageous, or they are not courageous enough to come out to the public and say, this is what we have seen, and they are trying to cover it up, which has been in the public domain. And now that they have set up a committee, which I found that committee. I found the committee wrong to be headed by the vice president. I find it very, very wrong. I mean, the EFCC should have done this job. The ICPC should have done this job. There's no any need to set up another committee that will be headed by the vice president. I think that shouldn't be what we should be seeing by now. I think the EFCC should have even come into this investigation, do a thorough investigation, check the facts and whatever that has been presented to them, and at the end of the day, we will get the whole result. And if he should be charged to court, he will be charged to court immediately, because it's very, very bad that we're talking about arms gate, and now we are talking about a grass cutting scandal. It doesn't really speak well for us.
My personal opinion is that this move is coming at the right time. We must always remember that we're dealing with the presidency, where integrity matters a lot. The president must have had to go do his own findings and and at this point agrees that there is need for official investigation into the issue. The last speaker spoke about why are we not just allowing the EFCC to take charge and start investigations. I like the speaker to understand that setting up a committee of competent men, of people of integrity, to first of all investigate the issues, ask the right questions before handing over to the EFCC is not a bad move in my personal opinion. This is simply to ensure that there's integrity in the process. This is to ensure that there's no witch hunting here. We're already hearing things about the government doing this simply because the gentleman involved is a Christian, and it just calls to question what we as Nigerians consider to be fair, what we consider to be fighting corruption. Are we only fighting corruption when we are dealing with people along the lines of their religion? That's the hard question we have to ask ourselves.
All right, Benga, there have also been complaints that the war has been one-sided. To what extent can you debunk this claim?
Well, there will always be allegations, but then they have to be backed with facts. We can't be emotional about these issues. It is important that we back whatever accusation with facts. As I sit here, and that's why I'm happy. Honestly, that's why I'm happy that a committee was set up, because questions will be answered. Questions will be asked and answered. The relevant bodies have been invited. The EFCC has been invited or will be invited to speak. And I believe that even from the investigation, more revelations will come out. So I would urge Nigerians to be patient with this government. This is a government that has a recovery of over 17 billion in the last 4 months. 17 billion of our money that was probably, siphoned by public officials that should be protecting us. 17 billion recovered in 4 months.